Right now on IUSTV News, 1 week to go, the 2024 presidential race enters the final stretch of the campaign. We have the latest on where the race stands.
Plus, a major update in the jail construction project. We'll tell you what site got the green light from county commissioners.
And an Indianapolis man arrested for allegedly traveling to meet who he thought was a teen wanting to have sex. We have what happened when he was instead met by police.
And here we are, it's almost November and we are seeing some unseasonably high temperatures. I'll tell you all about that and more in just a little bit.
Election day in America is down to the last 7 days. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ashton Hackman.
And I'm Grace Morocco. You're watching IUSTV News. Already more than 43 million people have casted early ballots ahead of Election Day.
CNN's Brian Todd has more on who's voting early and why.
This is your ballot. You can step right on over.
President Biden voting early today in his home state of Delaware. A reporter asking him about casting a ballot that he had hoped to cast for himself.
Bittersweet for you?
Oh, this is just sweet.
Detroit!
The president's party, meantime, has brought out the star power to promote early voting. Former President Barack Obama hitting the trail in battleground states in recent days.
Find out where to vote early.
So far, more than 43 million Americans have already cast their ballots, either in person or by mail. Michigan has never conducted early in-person voting in a general election until this year. The Secretary of State in the Wolverine state says it's been a hit.
250,000 Michigan citizens voted on the first 2 days alone.
The state of Georgia got off to a record start for early voting.
We thought we were going to get ahead of the game a little bit, but looks like everybody got the same thing in mind.
This is the first time I've ever done it. And with the likes of this line, maybe the last.
State officials in Georgia said that as of this afternoon, more than a third of active voters in Georgia had already cast their ballots.
So now is the time to vote early.
Once again, Democrats seem more likely to vote early, or at least by mail, if not in person. But Republicans are expected to turn out on Election Day.
Kamala Harris is almost certainly going to win that vote by mail. She leads in an average of the recent polls, get this, by 43 points. That early in-person voting, that's going to be pretty split down the middle. But then we're expecting that Election Day vote to be very good for Donald Trump. In the average polling, we see him up by 17.
This year, more Republicans are voting early than in 2020, partly because the former president has changed his tune on it. For years, Donald Trump denigrated early voting as being suspect, even fraudulent. Now,
Early voting is underway. Get everyone you know and vote.
Why do you think the Republicans have changed their messaging on early voting?
They know they've gotten trounced on this, right? The Republicans are playing catch up. Whether or not they'll fully ever equal Democrats on the early voting front, unknown.
Now, polls still show Tuesday's election remains a neck-and-neck race. Meanwhile, voting in Monroe County is also outpacing previous elections.
Yeah, that's right. At last check, more than 20,000 people have casted their ballots in Monroe County. That's just 3,000 shy of the 2020 early vote total. More than 27,000 casted an early ballot in 2016.
There are now just 5 days left to vote early in the county. You can do so at the Election Operations Center on Walnut Street. Voting runs from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, and from 8 a.m. to noon on Monday.
Federal authorities are currently investigating fires at 2 ballot drop boxes. Police have identified a suspect vehicle for the incident and believe the fires in Washington and Oregon are connected. Although many of the ballots in Portland were unaffected, hundreds were destroyed at the Vancouver ballot box fire. Portland police say the motive behind the acts is unknown, but police call the acts intentional. IUSTV is your home for the 2024 election. We will have you covered on all the latest headlines up to and on Election Day. You can find more on IUSTV.com. Then on Election Night, you can catch us live on YouTube and Facebook starting at 7 p.m. Eastern.
All right, let's get a check of the weather because, boy, talk about a change in what we've been dealing with. It was hot out there today.
Yes, it definitely was. I'm getting sick of the weather changing. I want it to stay the same. Do I put a short sleeve on or a sweater?
Yeah, Carson, what about Halloween? Costume-wise, are we looking?
Costume-wise, I think it's going to be a little bit more on the short sleeve moment era a little bit. And now looking at these southern Indiana temperatures, I'm beginning to wonder, is it southern Indiana or southern Arizona? Because look at this. We have got towards Greenwood, Martinsville, Franklin area, 77 degrees. Down in Bloomington, Nashville, 78 degrees. And down towards the Brownstown area and Versailles, we are looking at up to 80 degrees. Now, overnight tonight, we are going to see some better temperatures. If you're planning on going out for $1 in your Halloween costumes, then plan for around the upper mid 60s. We are looking at 69 degrees by 9 p.m. and then by midnight and 3 a.m. we're looking at 66, 64 degrees. It's going to be cloudy all night, and then moving into the morning, if you're a big dog walking person, then it is going to continue that trend of decreasing in temperature for the rest of the day. 61 degrees by 6 a.m., but then down at 8 a.m., it is going to be just 59 degrees, and that trend will continue throughout the day in that regard. And now, coming up, I'm going to tell you some more about the Halloween forecast, how it's going to cool off or not, and some rain chances that we're going to get that could ease out this drought that we're seeing right now. Guys, back to you.
All right, Carson, thanks. We'll check back in with you later. Monroe County Commissioners have made their choice for the site of the new county jail. It's a decision that's been delayed time and time again, but county leaders are moving ahead to the next phase.
Earth movers are already on site where the future Monroe County Jail will be.
Nothing's perfect. Nowhere is ever perfect. But we have to think about the future.
The nearly 52-acre North Park property will cost the county around $11 million to purchase. The agreement comes after a last-minute site proposal caught the commissioner's attention, and neighbors too. That site was eventually tossed out.
The whataboutism has to stop, and we need to move forward. But I think we found a really good piece of land.
All of the environmental work for the North Park property is already complete, and room for future expansion and evacuation space is what caught the attention of the Monroe County Sheriff.
What keeps going in my mind is when we had the actual gas leak and we had no place to go. And we were very, very fortunate that the fire marshal didn't tell us to shut it down. So that's crucial as well, that we have the space for expansion, and I know sometimes people look at that the wrong way. However, we need to have the space to evacuate in the case of the emergency that we just can't predict.
There's no word on when construction on the new jail could begin. However, it is likely to start within the next year.
And a man will spend just under 8 years in prison after pleading guilty to stabbing another man in 2021. Ian Thorpe was given a 12-year sentence, but has earned more than 3 years of jail credit. The stabbing happened in a hotel parking lot in July of 2021. Thorpe was also charged with escaping from his cell over the summer and beating another inmate to the point he had to go to the hospital. He pleaded guilty to that charge as well.
Bloomington police arrested a man they say drove from Indy to Bloomington to meet who he thought was a 15-year-old. 52-year-old Kurt Dittmeyer is charged with child exploitation. Police said a detective posing as a 15-year-old communicated with Dittmeyer. The conversation then became sexual. Police said he was on the way to Bloomington but stopped responding because he was afraid it was a sting operation. He had an initial hearing in court earlier today. Well, after 3 years of undergoing renovations, Bloomington Fire Station 1 is back open.
Yes, it is. Reporter Dana Belmer gives us the inside look.
We're standing here in a garage that's been empty for 3 years, but soon trucks will be moving in that haven't been here since. Bloomington city leaders decoupled a hose in front of the new fire headquarters Thursday.
It's considerably bigger than what we had before.
A historic flood 3 years ago left the basement of the fire station completely underwater. Firefighters were out that night rescuing people trapped in the floodwaters. They haven't been back since.
It's an interesting feeling because when we left here 3.5 years ago, the idea was not to ever come back here. And so coming back here kind of gives you a nice sense of we're coming home to a brand new place.
A new home with new upgrades. A bigger kitchen, a new living room, and separate sleeping areas.
We can have more people down here, the station's bigger, and we can have, as time changes and we move how we're going to do things, this gives us some flexibility on who we get to station here and how we arrange our responses.
It was an unexpected move, coming back to an area where the fire station isn't the only building that has changed in 3 years.
When we left, the surrounding scenery wasn't quite like it is now. We have some more apartment buildings, so it kind of makes us a part of the downtown community, and we're glad to be here like we always have been.
These firefighters are looking forward to moving back into a place they call home, but more importantly, to keeping you guys safe. In Bloomington, I'm Dana Belmer with IUSTV News.
Firefighters moved into the new station as City Council votes this week on firefighter salaries for the upcoming year. That meeting is set for Wednesday. Well, Halloween is just 2 days away, and it's typically a busy party weekend here on the IU campus.
Still ahead, the tips IU police are sharing to keep you and others safe this weekend. Plus, after more than a year of pushback and delays, the city gateway is nearly complete. How much longer the city says it will be until the project is complete.
But first, with Halloween just days away, how can you keep food allergies from being spooky? We'll take you to a Bloomington church that's doing just that. We're back in a few. Halloween is Thursday and the time of year where children go door to door and collect candy, but doing so is not safe for every child.
Yeah, one Bloomington church is making it easier for kids with food allergies to participate in the Halloween fun too. Here's Lacey Carr.
First United Church in Bloomington held their second annual Teal Pumpkin Trick-or-Treat Trail on Saturday. 45 teal pumpkin buckets lined the parking lot of the church where children got to collect their favorite Halloween treats. Starbursts were just some of the commonly known allergy-friendly treats children could collect at the event along with toys. First United Church brought this inclusive way of trick-or-treating to Bloomington from the Teal Pumpkin Project, a nationwide initiative to provide a safer way for children with food allergies to enjoy Halloween. First United Church's president of the congregation, Mitchell Farmer, has a personal connection to the initiative.
We started doing Teal Pumpkin at our own house probably almost 10 years ago. My son has food allergies, and so we've done it every year at our house. And then when we were thinking again about doing a larger event and what could we do that was different, we decided to do it as a Teal Pumpkin event.
One easy way to check if a Halloween treat is safe, you can visit the Food Allergy Research and Education's website at foodallergy.org. Once on the website, you can click the Teal Pumpkin Project link and find out more about what candy is unsafe for kids with food allergies. You can also view non-candy Halloween treats to give out, like Halloween rings and vampire teeth. Good job. Events like these make Farmer's son, who suffers from food allergies, much more at ease.
It makes me feel good because I don't have to worry about everything I can't eat and what I can eat, because I know everything is allergy safe for me.
Jessica Peterson-Mutai, the senior minister for the First United Church, helped advocate and advertise the event to the Bloomington community.
The affiliation with the Teal Pumpkin Project helps folks to know, oh, right, there are children who are allergic to nuts, to eggs, to all kinds of things.
The Teal Pumpkin Trick-or-Treat Trail is just one way that First United Church is showing its inclusivity to the Bloomington community.
That was our Lacey Carr reporting. First United Church is hosting the event again next Halloween and hopes to welcome even more trick-or-treaters.
The Drug Enforcement Administration teamed up with the Bloomington Police Department to host the second annual Boo to Drugs event. Every year, people in the community dress up in Halloween costumes to trick-or-treat, tour emergency vehicles, and learn more about drug prevention. This event is a fun way for people to connect with first responders and learn how to prevent drug abuse.
It's an opportunity for kids of all ages to come out and have their trick-or-treat outfits and come and get candy, but more importantly, get prevention material so we can help save lives at the end of the day. Because what we hope to accomplish is to just give them the type of information, or their parents or individual to come here, to just let them know how dangerous the drugs are in today's day and age.
It is important to learn how to prevent drug abuse and to share that information with friends and family.
And with Halloween right around the corner, IU police are sharing tips to stay safe over what is typically a busy party weekend. When it comes to costumes, you're encouraged not to wear face coverings that could block your ability to see the environment around you. Also, be mindful of fake weapons, as they could cause unintended panic for others. Police say the biggest thing to remember, though, is understanding IU's Lifeline law, which protects minors from alcohol charges when calling police for a medical emergency.
We generally see a higher spike in alcohol-related calls over the Halloween time, so possession and consumption, as well as like medical calls related to alcohol. So really just take care of each other, know your limits, plan for a safe ride to and from wherever you're going, and just be a good neighbor and keep everybody safe.
If you need help over Halloween weekend, you can call 911 or find any nearest blue light emergency phone. You can also download the Rave Guardian app.
After almost 6 years of work, the Bloomington Bicentennial Gateway is expected to be completed next month. The gateway, located at Miller Showers Park, consists of stacked limestone blocks and the words Bloomington across the limestone. As the city nears completion of the project, planting and landscaping will take place in the last week of October. While a specific date has not been announced for the opening, the cut will be reopened once it's paved, likely after the first week of November. Next on IUSTV News, is election stress keeping you up at night? The tips you need to know in today's Health Minute.
Plus, we have been dealing with some unseasonably warm weather. We're coming up on Halloween. What can we expect if you're wearing certain costumes? Carson will be in with the forecast on the other side of the break. Is the election approaching causing you to lose sleep? If so, you might have electsomnia.
In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither shares how to combat this problem with just 7 more days in the election.
If this election is causing you to lose sleep, you're not alone.
We call it electsomnia, so it's insomnia linked with the election season.
Sleep specialist Michelle Drerup with Cleveland Clinic says in her clinical practice, she's seeing more people being triggered with election-related sleep issues. She says the election can worsen symptoms in those who already struggle with insomnia and can also trigger sleep issues in those who don't have chronic sleep problems.
The person has difficulty falling asleep and they may be kind of thinking about the election or potentially what the future might look like, waking up in the middle of the night and struggling to fall back asleep, or even just poor sleep quality.
Drerup says to prioritize sleep before you even go to bed by limiting social media and election news exposure, which can worsen stress and add to sleep difficulties. Also, be aware of your negative thoughts and challenge them.
Just try to stay in the moment of where things are at right now.
Finally, Drerup says not to focus on the election what-ifs, instead zone in on things you can manage.
We have survived many elections. We'll get through this, right? It's only 4 years, trying to figure out what I do have the ability to control. I'm going to go out and vote. I'm trying to, do things to support others to vote. So thinking about what I can do versus a lot of what's out of my control.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Turning to the weather, and boy, is it October, is it September? It was gosh dang hot out there.
It sure was. Every time I step out of the house, I don't know if I need a short sleeve, if I need a sweater. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's pretty awful, especially when you have early classes that run late and then you have to end up walking home in like a sweater, but it's almost 80 degrees outside. Terrible. But it's not going to get much better, especially not for Halloween. And let me tell you all about that. So tomorrow on Wednesday, it's going to wake up. It's going to be nice. As the sun comes up, it's going to be partly cloudy and we're looking at about 59 degrees. By noon, we're looking at 70 degrees and it's going to be partly cloudy. But then by 4 p.m., this weather that we all hate is going to come back around. It's 77 degrees, completely sunny, 4 p.m., almost November. So make sure if you do have early classes and they go late into the afternoon, make sure you're dressing for it, wearing layers so you can shed a few as the day goes on. Weather tomorrow, a lot like weather today, high 70s, the entire southern portion of Indiana. Not much interesting to say there, just horrible all around, in my opinion. Now, if you are planning on going to the Michigan State game, for all you sports fans, it is going to be pretty nice in the morning, cloudy, 43 degrees. That's the fall weather that we like to see. But then by noon, it's up to 58 and partly cloudy, and then by 4 p.m., it's 65. Not quite as bad as the rest of the week, but just make sure that you are dressing for the entire day and not just for the morning. And then moving on to that 7-day forecast, it's going to be partly cloudy on Wednesday, but warm for the whole day, starting off at 59 degrees, going to 77. Then on Thursday, we might get some rain, but it's going to be sunny for at least a portion of the day. It's going to top off at about 70 degrees and then lows of 53. That's some pretty good weather, I would say. Friday through Sunday, it is going to be in the 60s, lows in the 40s. But on Sunday, we might get some rain, and so that will help offset the drought that we're experiencing right now. Then on Monday, it's going to be cloudy and cool, 72 degrees, that's the high, and then a 59-degree low. And then on Tuesday, we are looking at some gorgeous weather, 71 degrees, high, 71 degree high, 57 degree low. However, I will say that is more the weather that I want to see in September and not necessarily October.
I mean, yeah, let's clear the hate here. We're not hating the weather. It's just we're already in the fall mood.
It could be better. Like, I want to cuddle up in my bed and watch a good fall movie.
It's robbing me of the fall mood. The leaves only just changed and it's the end of October. Like, come on now.
Tragic.
It really is. Thanks, Carson.
Next in sports, your Indiana Hoosiers are now 8-0. Bloomington was the place to be on Saturday. Allie has the recap in sports when we come back.
Men's sports continue to dominate for another week as the football team improves to 8-0 and soccer looks to finish on top of Yegley to Ober. I'm Allie Hom and let's talk football. On Saturday, number 13 Indiana took on 4-3 Washington and continued their run of the never trailing this season. Number 13 Indiana improves to 8-0 and 5-0 in the Big Ten as they take down Washington 31-17. Defense and special teams led the way on Saturday with a heavy run game. Justice Ellison had 29 of the team's 52 carries for 123 yards and 1 touchdown. Backup quarterback Taven Jackson replaced Curtis Rourke on Saturday and was 11-19 passing for 124 yards, with 1 touchdown and an INT. On defensive side, Pons led the way with 2 interceptions, with 1 taken back to the house. Indiana travels to East Lansing to take on Michigan State this Saturday. If you feel good about IU football, you should feel good about the other kind of IU football as they close out regular season play. IU went out west to UCLA with 4 straight wins and ranked 22 in the country. IU came out victorious, winning 2-1 with goals by Justin Wessis and Samuel Sarver. Quentin Elliott had an assist as well, and JT Harams provided his first career assist. That win moves them to first place in the Big Ten table with a chance to share the regular season title with a win and an Ohio State draw or loss. IU moves to number 19 in the country as they take on Northwestern on Tuesday at Bill Armstrong Stadium for their regular season final. IU basketball starts strong in Knoxville for their charity exhibition game against Tennessee. IU traveled down to Knoxville, Tennessee to take on the Volunteers in a game where they started out slow but prevailed, winning 66-62. Malik Renault led the way with 21 points and 8 rebounds, and the newest member of the team, Miles Rice, with 20 points. IU was ranked number 17 in the AP preseason top 25 with Tennessee at number 12. IU's next game is another exhibition against Marin this Friday at 7 p.m. With 1 month left, IU volleyball looks to get back from after they snapped their 5-match losing streak. IU volleyball faced Northwestern this Sunday, beating them in straight sets. IU returned 2 starters from injury, Cameron Hawthorne and Avery Tatum. Candela Alsono Corielis had 15 kills, with Ramsey Gary adding 13 digs. Cameron Hawthorne, in her return, had a career high of 39 assists and 3-set Big Ten match. IU volleyball travels to Piscataway, New Jersey to take on Rutgers this Friday. And for the latest on all things IU sports, be sure to tune in each week to Hoosier Sports Night. You can catch it Thursdays on IUSTV. That's all for sports. Back to you at the desk.
Yeah, thanks, Allie. IU sports is looking really nice, and I'm hoping that the weather will look just as nice this week.
There are going to be some really nice days this week. There's going to be a little bit of rain, but for the most part, we are looking at a pretty nice week. Now, tomorrow, we're looking at a high of 77 and a low of 59. That's pretty warm. Then on Thursday, we're going to get some rain with a high of 70 and a low of 53. That'll help offset the drought that we're experiencing right now. On Friday, we are looking at a high of 61, low of 42. That is the perfect fall weather that we've all been looking for. Pretty similar conditions on Saturday, although a little bit warmer. On Sunday, we might get a little bit of rain. Still pretty warm and partly cloudy. On Monday, we're looking at a high of 72 and a low of 59, and then on Tuesday, another gorgeous day, high of 71, low of 57.
You said it yourself, Friday, the best day of that 7-day, nice recovery from Halloween.
Yes, it's going to be looking really nice for all the visitors who are coming to Indy to see Taylor Swift this weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, Carson, thank you. And thank you for watching IUSTV News.
For updates between newscasts, check out IUSTV.com, and we look forward to seeing you back here on election night. Take care.